Pokemon. If you had a childhood at all, you certainly played at least one game of Pokemon. This is a game where you capture these fantasy creatures in order to train them to battle other Pokemon, level up, and evolve into a stronger creature. The main point of Pokemon is to capture Pokemon in Pokeballs. As a kid, or even adult, you don't really care about how the programming is done. All you care about is if the Pokemon is weak and low level, you catch it and it'll be very easy. But if it was a rare and legendary Pokemon, it'll be extremely hard to catch. However, there is actually a lot of math involved, and there is an awesome equation that makes you wonder about the work that is put behind this game, this masterpiece. So I was trying to capture this Mewtwo. He is the strongest and most powerful Pokemon in the game. I was getting pretty frustrated because my strongest Pokemon is trying to survive against him while trying to capture him. I used an Ultra Ball. It's probably the best ball you can get that isn't a special circumstance to get, like a Master Ball, which is 100% catch rate, but that's a different story. The best I had right now is Ultra Balls, but Mewtwo here wouldn't get caught, so it made me question myself. What are the mechanics behind this game? There had to be some kind of sophisticated formula. If I knew the math behind this, I can probably calculate how many balls it would take, mathematically, to capture this guy. But first of all, you need to get behind the scenes on how this is actually working. Look at this! Such an awesome looking formula. This is the official formula they use to calculate the capture of a Pokemon. Now, if you have any algebra knowledge at all, this is pretty simple when it's in fact a long equation. It's basically just plugging in the information, then doing it out. So what do we have here? A is going to equal 3 times HP max minus 2 times HP current. And that will be in parentheses. Now that will be multiplied by rate, and then that will be multiplied by bonus ball. All that is going to be divided by 3 times the HP max. And all that is going to be multiplied by bonus status. So if you play Pokemon at all, I'm pretty sure you would understand what this means. But for those of you that don't, here is what each of the words mean. Now, this is something you would need to pull out of the Pokemon database. You can't just sit in a classroom and pull out random numbers from your head. Here, you're going to actually need solid information straight from the Pokemon database that the creators have designed specifically for each and every individual Pokemon species. Alright, so what we have here is my Cyndaquil fighting a Pidgey. Okay, so you just use one tackle and now the Pidgey is already at half of his health. Now, I will be using a Pokeball to be capturing this Pidgey. Now let's see how that works out. Tick, 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 boom. Okay, look at that. The Pidgey was caught. Now, the math behind it all. Well, look at this. This is Pidgey's database. This will provide any information you would need in the catching of a Pidgey. Once you pull out any information you require, you can now plug it into this amazing equation. This is what I will be plugging into the part that says bonus ball. This is the Pokeball that I have used against the Pidgey, which is just a basic Pokeball. I will be plugging into one where it says bonus ball. See, there's all sorts of different balls that increase your chances of catching the Pokemon even more, but that's a different story. I'm just trying to stay basic right now. These are status elements for the Pokemon. Depending on what moves you use on them and all that complicated stuff, it can inflict some status change for the Pokemon. If they're asleep or they're frozen, it will multiply by 2. And everything else, there's a bunch of other status elements that I don't really want to get into right now, but basically it multiplies it by 1.5. Oh yeah, now we got the official equation. Now let's see how this translates. You have 3 multiplied by the maximum amount of HP or hit points that the Pidgey had, which is 40 according to the database. That would be minus 2 times its current HP, which I estimated to be around 15 at the time, because there's no possible way of actually finding out your enemy's actual hit points. All that's going to be multiplied by the rate. The rate is also given by the database. The rate is 255. Multiplied by the ball. The ball that was used was a Pokeball, so it's only going to be a 1. All that will now be divided by 3 times the hit point max again. And all that is going to be multiplied by the bonus status, which is again 1 because there was no sleep or freezing that happened to the Pidgey. So that would be a 1. The number I got was 191. That's gonna be put over the magical number of 255. What that means is out of 255 throws, you'll be catching the Pidgey 191 times, which is about a 74% chance of catching the Pidgey. Now, where did that 255 come from? Well, that's just how the designers of the game made it. They made it that 255 is the maximum amount of numbers of throws that you will be needed. Keep in mind that if the Pidgey had lower health, then his chances of being caught would have been significantly higher. Now that I am the master of calculating how to capture Pokemon, I will now go back to my main goal, Mewtwo. After pulling up his information, he has a catch rate of 3, so we can already tell that he is very hard to catch. But don't worry, I will calculate how much balls it would take to capture this creature, the rarest Pokemon in the game. Well, now that we have the equation, let's try to take a little shortcut. I want the fastest way and the most effective way of catching this Mewtwo, and I want the highest possible chances of catching him. So what I would do is use this nice little shortcut that a YouTube video has taught me about catching Pokemon. This right here would only assume if he was at 1 HP only. That is the lowest amount of health he can possibly get before he faints and dies, and you can never catch him again. But yeah, so all you need to calculate now is his rate, the bonus ball that will be used, and his bonus status. And all that will be divided by 255. Shortcuts are awesome. Alright, now that we are plugging in the information, 3 is the catch rate that the developers have given Mewtwo. 2 is the Ultra Ball that I've used on him. The Ultra Ball gives it a ×2. And he had a status of a paralysis, which gave it an extra 1.5 for the bonus status. All of that is going to be divided by 255, giving it an answer of 9. Now to end up everything, we put 9 over 255, giving him a 3.5% chance of being caught. Nice. So it will take 28 Ultra Balls, supposedly, to capture this Pokemon. That is only if, and only if, he is at exactly 1 HP, but there's always a chance that you can kill him, you have to start all over. And getting a Pokemon to exactly 1 HP is extremely difficult. So this is the highest chance you can ever get at catching him, but that's only if you can align the stars. So I didn't really end up capturing that Mewtwo because I kind of got impatient and just stopped the game right there. But at least I know how many balls it would take to actually capture him, supposedly and statistically speaking. But it's alright, because at least I got me a Pidgey. That's all that matters, because Pidgey's the best Pokemon in the game. But on a side note, at least now I know how to actually calculate how to capture a Pokemon and how many balls I would need to buy to prepare for the engagement with that Pokemon. But seriously, I probably won't, because like I'll probably just buy a bunch of random balls and start chucking it at them until they get captured, because ain't no one got time to do all this math. But it's great to know anyways. That Pokemon actually had a lot of math and complicated formulas in the background when you are just mindlessly throwing Pokeballs at them.